Rian sat quietly in the small cafe near the spaceport, nervously stirring his drink. Outside the window, ships of all shapes and sizes took off and landed. He could hear the soft hum of engines and the distant chatter of travelers from many worlds. But inside his mind, he felt a storm. Everyone was talking about him, and not in a good way. Just a week ago, Rian had surprised the whole city by announcing his marriage to Zara. Zara was not just any woman. She was an alien princess from the distant planet Volter. Her people were known to be strong, proud, and very different from humans. Most people thought Rian was crazy. Why would a simple human marry an alien? They said, she is a royal. He's just an engineer. Rian didn't care about the rumors or the mockery. To him, Zara was special. She was kind, brave, and had a fire in her eyes that made him feel alive. But even so, the whispers followed him wherever he went. One day, Rian stood in the city square and overheard a group of young people laughing loudly. Look at him, marrying that alien princess, one said. He must want trouble. They say she comes from a warlike world. Another added, he's going to get himself killed. Rian clenched his fists but said nothing. He knew people did not understand their love. Humans feared what they did not know, and aliens feared humans for the same reason. Rian's best friend, Mira, sat beside him now, trying to cheer him up. Don't listen to them, she said softly. You know Zara's amazing. Rian smiled. Weakly, I do, Mira. But it's hard. I want the world to see her the way I do. Not as a stranger or a threat. Mira nodded. Maybe they will. One day. Just give it time. Rian hoped she was right. But deep inside, he worried. How would he live in a world that did not accept them? That evening, Zara came to the cafe. She looked radiant in her simple blue dress, her silver hair shining under the lights. She sat down next to Rian and took his hand. Are you okay? She asked. Rian looked into her warm eyes. It's hard. People mock me, Zara. They say I'm foolish. Zara smiled gently. They do not see the strength inside me or the love between us. They fear what they don't understand. Rian squeezed her hand. I want to show them. I want to stand by you, no matter what. Zara nodded. And I will stand by you. Together. We are stronger than their words. Days later, the news spread that Rian would visit Volter. Zara's home planet. The first human to marry a Voltorian princess was a big deal. The city buzzed with questions. How will he survive on their harsh planet? Some wondered. Will Zara's family accept him? Others asked. Rian packed his small bag, filled with gifts for Zara's family and a heart full of hope. He wanted to learn about her world, her people, and their customs. He wanted to prove he was worthy. When Rian arrived on Volter, he was amazed. The planet was different from anything he had seen before. The sky was a deep purple, with two suns shining faintly. The air was cool and smelled of strange flowers. Zara led him through the grand palace, where tall towers touched the clouds. Her family greeted him with polite smiles but cold eyes. They were not used to humans. Some looked at Rian with doubt. Welcome, Rian, said Zara's father, Lord Vero, with a serious voice. We have heard much about you. Rian bowed respectfully. Thank you, my lord. I am honored to be here. Zara's mother, Lady Mira, studied him carefully. You must understand our ways if you are to join our family, she said softly. Rian nodded. I am ready to learn. The days that followed were difficult. Rian tried to understand the strange customs. He attended lessons on Voltorian history, language, and combat. He trained his body to be stronger, just like the warriors of Zara's people. Despite his efforts, some of the royal council still doubted him. Why should a human, weak and untrained, marry a princess? One council member whispered to another. Zara overheard the words and stood tall. Because he has a courage no warrior can match, she said quietly but firmly. Rian felt a new strength growing inside him. For Zara, he would face any challenge. One night, while walking under the stars, Zara shared her fears with Rian. Our people face danger from a rival faction, she said. They want to take my throne and destroy all we have built. Rian looked at her, eyes full of concern. We will stop them, Together, Zera smiled. You are more than I hoped for. Rian, you are my partner, my heart. That night, Rian understood the true meaning of their marriage. It was not just about love. It was about standing strong in the face of fear and hatred. It was about uniting two worlds. Back on Earth, people still whispered and mocked, but on Volta, Rian found a new purpose: to protect Zera, to prove his worth, and to show the galaxy that love and courage could cross any star. Rian woke early on Volta, feeling the weight of a new day. The palace was quiet, but his mind was busy. He had many questions about Zera's world, the people, the politics, and the dangers lurking nearby. As he stepped onto the balcony, he saw the twin suns rising slowly, casting long shadows across the purple plains. The beauty of the planet was clear, but so was its harshness. Volta was not like Earth. It was a place of strength, tradition, and strict rules. Zera joined him, her silver hair glowing in the morning light. You look thoughtful, she said softly. Rian nodded. There is much I do not understand. Your people, their ways, and the threats you mentioned. Zera sighed. Volta has a proud history, but also many enemies. Our rival faction, the Krell, wants to take my throne. They believe only they should rule. Rian frowned. Who are the Krell? They are a powerful group from a neighboring star system. Zera explained. They have fought wars with my people before. Now, they prepare for another attack. Rian's heart beat faster. What can we do? Zera's eyes shone with determination. We must be ready. But first, you need to meet my council. Later that day, Zera led Rian to a large hall filled with serious faces. The royal council was made of the strongest leaders on Volta. They watched Rian carefully as he entered. Rian, Zera said proudly, this is my council. They help me lead our people. Rian bowed respectfully. It is an honor to meet you all. One of the council members, a tall woman named Thera, stepped forward. Her sharp eyes studied Rian closely. You are human, Thera said plainly. We have never trusted your kind. Why should we accept you? Rian met her gaze without fear. Because I love Zera, and because I want to protect her and your people. The room was silent. Some council members nodded slowly. Others looked unsure. Zera spoke again. Rian is more than a husband. He is a partner. He will learn our ways and stand with us. The council agreed to test Rian's commitment. Over the next days, he attended meetings, learned about Voltorian laws, and trained with warriors. Rian found the training hard. The Voltorian warriors were faster and stronger than he expected. But he did not give up. He pushed his body and mind beyond limits he never thought possible. One afternoon, during a training session, Rian sparred with Jorik, the captain of the palace guard. Jorik was skilled and fierce, but Rian surprised him with his clever moves. You have spirit, Jorik said with a rare smile. Maybe you are worthy after all. Rian felt a small victory. It was a start, but not everything was easy. The council's doubts remained. Some members whispered in secret rooms about the danger of trusting a human. One evening, Rian overheard a conversation between two council members. If he fails, the Crow will use his weakness against us, one said. We must watch him closely. The other replied. Rian's heart sank. The council still saw him as a risk. Zera comforted him. Their fear is normal, but your courage will prove them wrong. Rian wanted to believe her. Meanwhile, outside the palace, the city of Volta bustled with life. Alien creatures moved through the streets, trading goods and sharing stories. Rian tried to connect with the people, but many looked at him with suspicion. One day, while walking in the market, a group of children stared at him and whispered. Is he really the princess's husband? One asked. He looks so small and weak, another said. Rian smiled and knelt down. Hello, I'm Rian. I want to be your friend. The children hesitated, then smiled back. For a moment, Rian felt hope. Back in the palace, tensions grew. Zera's rival, a powerful noble named Vash, began to spread rumors about Rian. Vash did not want a human in the royal family. He is a spy, Vash claimed in secret meetings. He will bring disaster. Zera refused to listen to Vash's lies. Rion is honest and brave. He will help us. But the rival faction, the Krell, was preparing for war. Their spies had learned about Rion's presence, and they saw him as a weakness to exploit. One night, Zera and Rion stood together on the palace roof, watching the stars. I fear what is coming. Zera said quietly, the Krell will not wait much longer. Rion held her hand. Then we must be ready. Together, Zera looked at him with trust. You are more than I hoped for, Rion. You are my strength. In that moment, Rion understood his place in this strange new world. He was no longer just a human engineer. He was part of something bigger, a fight for survival, a union of two worlds, and a love that could change the galaxy. As the twin suns set, Rion felt a new fire in his heart. He would face the challenges ahead, no matter the cost. Rion sat quietly in the palace study, his eyes fixed on the star charts spread before him. The maps showed the position of Volter and the nearby star systems. One of those systems belonged to the Krell, the rival faction Zera had warned him about. The room was filled with tension. Zera stood beside him, her expression serious. She had just returned from a council meeting where the news was grim. The Krell are gathering their forces, she said. They plan to attack soon. Rion felt a cold wave of fear wash over him. He had always known danger was near, but hearing it now made it real. Why don't the humans believe us? He asked, frustration in his voice. We need their help. Zera shook her head. Humans see our conflicts as distant. They do not understand how serious this is. Rion clenched his fists. Then we will have to find another way. That evening, Rion reached out to his contacts on Earth, sending urgent messages about the threat. But the responses were slow and uncertain. Many officials doubted the story. They saw the aliens as enemies or distant problems that did not need attention. Rion felt the weight of isolation. In a galaxy full of life and power, he and Zera stood almost alone. Meanwhile, on Volter, the palace prepared for war. Soldiers trained harder, and defenses were strengthened. The royal engineers worked day and night to improve the planet's security systems. Rion joined their efforts, using his skills to help design new shields and weapons. Though he was not a warrior, his mind was sharp and quick. One day, while working in the armory, Rion met Dara, a young soldier full of energy and hope. You're the human married to the princess, right? Dara asked, her eyes wide. Rion smiled. Yes, that's me. Dara laughed. People here talk a lot about you. Some don't trust you, but I think you're brave. Rion felt a warm glow. Thank you, Dara. I want to help. As days passed, news came that the Krell had moved their fleets closer to Volter. Spies reported strange activity near the border planets. Zera held another council meeting. The tension was thick. We cannot wait, she said firmly. We must act before they strike. Rion watched as the leaders debated. Some wanted to seek peace. Others called for immediate attack. Zera turned to Rion. What do you think? Rion took a deep breath. We should try to warn the humans again, if they won't listen. Then we prepare to defend ourselves. The council nodded slowly. Zera's words carried weight. But the threat was greater than anyone had expected. One night, Rion was startled by an alarm. The palace was on alert. Scouts had spotted Krell ships approaching Volter's outer defenses. Zera gathered her closest allies, including Rion, in the war room. This is it, she said. We must protect our home. Rion's heart pounded. He had never imagined a battle would come so close. As the Krell ships appeared in the sky, Volter's defenses fired back. Bright beams of light cut through the darkness. Rion helped coordinate the defense systems. His hands steadied despite the fear inside. The battle lasted for hours. The Krell forces were strong, but Volter's warriors fought with fierce courage. Zera led from the front, inspiring her people with her bravery. After the battle, the Krell retreated, but their threat remained. Rion and Zera stood together, looking out over the city. We won this fight, Zera said, but the war is not over. Rion nodded. We must be ready for what comes next. He knew the road ahead would be hard, but with Zera by his side, he believed they could face anything. The days after the battle felt tense and uncertain. The city of Volta buzzed with whispers and questions. Though the Krell had retreated, their threat hung over the planet like a dark cloud. Rian walked through the palace halls, feeling the weight of the coming storm. He noticed the guarded looks on the faces of the royal council and the soldiers. Everyone was waiting for the next move. One afternoon, Zara called Rian to her private chambers. Her face was serious, her eyes filled with worry. "Rian," she began. "I fear there is danger from within." Rian frowned. "What do you mean?" Zara's voice dropped. "One of my trusted advisors has been working against us. He has been sharing secrets with the Krell." Rian's heart pounded. "Who would do that?" Zara shook her head. "We do not know yet, but the signs are clear. Someone betrayed us." The news hit Rian hard. He had learned that war was not only fought outside the palace walls, but also inside them. That evening, Zara and Rian met with the royal council in a secure room. The council members looked tense, some avoiding eye contact. Zara addressed the group. "We have reason to believe that one of our own has betrayed us to the Krell. We must find the traitor before more damage is done." The council agreed to a full investigation. Spies and guards began searching for clues. Rian felt a mix of fear and determination. He wanted to help protect Zara and their people. Days passed with little progress. Suspicion grew, and trust began to break down among the council members. One night, while reviewing communication logs, Rian noticed strange messages sent from an advisor named Corin to unknown contacts. Zara. Rian said quietly, "I think Corin might be the traitor." Zara's eyes narrowed. "We must be sure." They set a trap. Corin was invited to a meeting with Zara and Rian. Under the pretense of discussing defense plans. As Corin spoke, Rian and Zara watched carefully. Suddenly, Corin's hand moved toward a hidden communicator. Before he could send any messages, Rian stepped forward and grabbed the device. "You are under arrest for treason," Zara declared. Corin's face twisted with anger. "You think you can stop me? The Krell will win. Your reign will fall." The guards took Corin away. The betrayal shook the palace to its core. Zara turned to Rian, her voice steady but soft. "Thank you for your help. Without you, I might have lost more than just trust." Rian smiled. "We stand together, always." But the damage was done. The Krell had learned important secrets, and Volter's defenses were weakened. A few days later, spies reported that the Krell fleet was moving closer, preparing for a larger attack. Zara gathered her people. "This time, we fight for our home." Rian stood beside her, ready to face whatever came next. As the enemy approached, the palace prepared for war once again. Rian helped with strategy, using what he had learned from Earth and Volter. The night before the battle, Zara and Rian walked in the palace garden. The stars shone brightly above, but neither felt peace. "We will win," Zara said softly. "For our people, for our future." Rian took her hand. Together. The next day, the sky darkened with the arrival of the Krell fleet. The battle was fierce and terrible. Zara led her warriors with fierce courage. Rian coordinated the defenses, his mind sharp despite the chaos. But the Krell were relentless. Volter's forces began to falter. Zara made a hard decision. She activated a secret weapon, a powerful energy beam designed to stop an enemy at any cost. Rian shouted, "Zara, wait! There must be another way." But she was determined. The weapon fired, a bright beam of light cutting through space. The enemy's main planet caught the blast. Fire spread quickly, and the planet was consumed by flames. Silence fell over the battlefield. Zara and Rian watched, knowing the price of victory. The galaxy would never forget what happened. The blast from Zara's secret weapon echoed through the galaxy. The bright beam had struck the enemy's home planet with a force no one expected. Flames spread across the surface, and the skies darkened with smoke. The Krell's power was broken. Rian stood beside Zara on the palace balcony, watching the distant fire. His heart was heavy. "We won," Zara said quietly, but her voice held a sadness beneath the victory. Rian nodded. But at a great cost. News spread quickly across Volter and the neighboring star systems. Some praised Zera's courage and strength. Others feared the destruction and power she had used. The galaxy was divided. On Volter, the people celebrated their victory, but the mood was mixed. Some soldiers returned wounded, and families mourned lost loved ones. Rian walked through the city streets, feeling both pride and sorrow. He saw faces full of hope and others full of fear. That evening, Zera held a meeting with her closest advisors and Rian. "We have won this battle," she said, "but our future depends on how we choose to move forward." Rian spoke softly. "The Krell may be defeated, but their pain and anger will last. We need peace, not just victory." Zera looked at him with respect. "You are right, I want peace. But I will not allow anyone to threaten my people again." Rian smiled. "Then let's work to build a future where humans and Voltorians and all others can live together in peace." Zera nodded. Together, as days passed, messages arrived from many planets. Some sent support and friendship, others sent warnings and threats. The destruction of the Krell planet was a clear message to the galaxy. Volter was strong and ready to defend itself. Rian knew their actions had changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same. One afternoon, Rian received a message from Earth. It was cautious but hopeful. "Your bravery has been noted," the message read. "We are watching closely." Rian shared the news with Zera. "Earth is starting to pay attention." Zera smiled. "Good. We need allies." Rian and Zera worked hard to repair the damage caused by war. They visited injured soldiers, comforted families, and rebuilt homes. Their love and leadership inspired many, but not all were happy. Some in the Royal Council still doubted Rian. They whispered about his human weakness and questioned his place beside the princess. Rian ignored the gossip. He focused on helping Zera lead and protect their people. One evening, as they walked in the palace gardens, Zera stopped and looked at Rian. "You have changed my world," she said, "and I hope we can change the galaxy." Rian smiled. "We will, together." Their bond grew stronger with every challenge. They knew the road ahead would be hard, but they were ready. The galaxy was watching, some with fear, others with hope. But one thing was clear: Zera and Rian's story was just beginning. The days after the destruction of the Krell homeworld were quiet, but not peaceful. A strange silence had spread across the galaxy. Many feared that Volter, led by Princess Zera, had become too powerful. Others saw Zera as a protector, someone willing to do what others could not. Rian stood on the palace balcony, looking up at the stars. The sky was calm, but his thoughts were heavy. He remembered the day Zera made the decision to fire the weapon. She had chosen to protect her people, but it had come at a cost. An entire planet was gone. So many lives, guilty and innocent, had been lost in seconds. Zera joined him, her face tired but calm. She had been working every day, talking to council members, rebuilding damaged cities, and sending messages to other star systems. "They still fear me," she said quietly, not looking at him. Rian placed his hand on hers. "They fear your strength, but strength is not a crime. You saved your people." Zera sighed. "I did what I had to, but now I wonder, will I be remembered as a leader or a destroyer?" Rian turned to face her. "That depends on what you do next." The two walked together down to the palace garden. Flowers from many worlds bloomed there, glowing softly under the twin moons. It was one of Zera's favorite places. It reminded her of peace. Later that night, Zera held a public gathering in the city square. Citizens of Volter filled the space, watching as their princess stepped forward to speak. "I did not wish for war," Zera said, her voice steady, "but I will never allow fear to rule this world. We defended ourselves because we had no choice. Now, I ask you to help me build a better future, one where we don't have to destroy to survive." The crowd was silent at first, then someone began to clap. Soon, others followed. A wave of applause spread through the square. People still carried pain, but they also carried hope. The next morning, messengers arrived from several planets. Some offered alliances, others asked for peace talks. Even a few from the Krell survivors sent messages, not of hate, but of understanding. One message read, We lost our world. But we understand now how far Volta will go to protect its people. Let this be the last war. Let it teach us to listen. Before we fight, Rian showed the message to Zera. They're starting to understand, he said. Zera nodded slowly. It's a beginning. In the following weeks, Zera and Rian began traveling to other planets. They met with leaders, shared their story, and listened to others. Rian, once seen as the weak human husband, was now respected. His calm voice and steady heart helped Zera build new friendships across the stars. During one visit to a small moon settlement, a Volturian elder approached Rian. I didn't believe in you, the elder admitted. I thought a human could never understand our ways, but I was wrong. You stood by our princess, even when the galaxy turned against her. Rian smiled politely. I didn't do it alone. She stood by me too. As the visits continued, Rian noticed a change in Zera. She still held her strength, but now she also carried more peace in her heart. She smiled more. She laughed again. They were becoming more than rulers, they were becoming symbols of unity. Back on Volta, the council's attitude toward Rian had changed. The same leaders who once doubted him now came to him for advice. You've helped bring peace, said Thera, the council member who once questioned his place. Zera chose wisely. Rian nodded humbly. I just followed my heart. One day, while walking through the palace halls, Rian saw a group of young children playing. One of them pointed at him and smiled. Look, that's the brave human, the one who saved our world with Princess Zera. Rian laughed gently. No, she saved the world. I just held her hand. But inside, his heart was full. For the first time since he came to Volta, he felt fully accepted not just as Zera's husband, but as one of them. Later that evening, Rian and Zera stood once more on the balcony. The sky above them was filled with quiet stars. We've come far, Zera said softly. Rian nodded. And we still have far to go. She leaned her head on his shoulder. As long as we go together. And so, peace began to return to the galaxy, not through fear, but through understanding. Not through war, but through unity. And it all started with a human man who married an alien princess and never gave up on love. The great hall of the palace was filled with light, laughter, and the soft hum of music. It was the day of the Unity Ceremony, a celebration of peace between the planets that had once stood on opposite sides, ambassadors from Earth, surviving members of the Krell, and leaders from nearby systems had all come to Volta. Princess Zera stood at the front of the hall, dressed in silver robes that shimmered like starlight. Beside her stood Rian, wearing the royal sash of Volta, a symbol of honor once reserved only for those born into the bloodline. But now, the people accepted him as one of their own. Rian smiled at the crowd. Just a year ago, many of these people had laughed at him, feared him, or ignored him. He had been mocked for loving someone different. But now, their eyes held respect. Hard to believe, isn't it? Zera whispered beside him. Rian chuckled. Very hard. I still remember when they called me the foolish Earthman. They still do, Zera joked. But now with love. The ceremony began with speeches. One by one, leaders spoke of what had been lost, what had been learned, and what must now be protected. When it was Zera's turn, the room grew silent. We stood at the edge of destruction. She began, her voice clear and calm, and we made a choice to fight not for power, but for peace. To destroy what threatened us, but to rebuild what could unite us. She looked at Rian, then at the crowd. I was mocked for choosing love over tradition, but it was love that gave me strength. It was love that showed me a different way forward. And it is love that will guide us into a new era. The hall erupted. In applause, some wiped tears from their eyes, even the Krell ambassador. A thin gray-skinned man named Zeller gave a respectful nod. Later that evening, Rian walked through the city streets. Lanterns floated in the air, lighting up the night sky in soft blues and golds. Children ran past him, laughing. Merchants sold sweet fruit and glowing crystals. It was the kind of peace he never thought he'd live to see. A young woman approached him. Her name was Lyra, a reporter from Earth. Mr. Rian, she said kindly. May I ask you a question? Of course, Rian replied. Do you ever regret marrying Princess Zara? Rian smiled. Not even for a second. But you've faced war, betrayal, and even fear from your own people? Rian nodded. That's true. But love is not always easy. It's not always safe. Sometimes it takes everything you have. But in return, it gives you a life that means something. She paused, thoughtful. What do you hope happens next? I hope others start to believe that peace between different worlds isn't a dream, it's a choice, one we must make every day. Back at the palace, Zara sat quietly in the garden. The moonlight made the flowers glow. She looked up as Rian returned. You always find your way back to me, she said with a smile. Every time, he replied. They sat together in silence for a while, listening to the night sounds of Volta, distant music, soft winds, peace. I was afraid we'd never reach this day, Zara said. So was I, Rian admitted. But we didn't give up. Zara turned to him. I know the galaxy still has problems. There will be new threats, new dangers. But as long as we face them together, we'll be ready. Rian finished. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Do you think Earth is ready to truly join us? They're starting to listen, Rian said. More humans are opening their hearts. Change is slow. But it's real, Zara smiled. You always believed that, and you always believed in me. Their hands met, fingers gently locking. No matter what came next, they knew they had already made history not by force alone, but through unity, courage, and love. The stars above them twinkled in silence, as if the universe itself was watching. Munsletarian stood in front of a class of young students, human and alien children sitting side by side. He now taught part-time at the newly opened Volta Academy for Galactic Peace Studies. Can anyone tell me what made the peace possible? He asked. A small Krell girl raised her hand. Because Princess Zara was strong, partly. Rian said kindly. But what else? A human boy said. Because you and Zara worked together. Rian nodded. Yes, we respected each other. We listened. That's what peace is. It's not just about winning wars. It's about understanding. Even when it's hard, the children clapped, smiling wide. In that moment, Rian saw the future not one of fear, but one of hope. He walked out of the classroom and into the sunlight, knowing this was only the beginning. Final Dynasty mocked him for marrying an alien. They said it would never work. They laughed, they doubted, and they warned him of failure. But in the end, it was that very love, bold, patient, and true, that helped change the galaxy. And together, Rian and Zara stepped into a new era, not as human or alien, not as prince or princess, but simply as two hearts that never stopped believing.